Okay, here's how this'll work. I'll show you a picture of a little-known or underrated character and give you a few to guess who it is. After I tell you who they are, I'll talk a little bit about them. Anyway, this is your first time, this is my first time. Let's cut our teeth on an easy one. That's right, it's Janine Melnitz from the Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters! If it goes bump in the night, we'll make it right.
Ah, the Ghostbusters. They need no introduction. But I don't think the same can be said for Janine, though. People tend to overlook her despite her presence in the movies and shows.
Story of my life.
And since the Ghostbusters was one of the first shows I saw, Janine was one of the first female characters I was exposed to. It's funny, back then I was like, yeah, Ghostbusters! And now I'm like, yeah, whoa, is that skirt always that short? Plus she played an important role as secretary and bookkeeper for the Ghostbusters. And besides, who was gonna answer the phone and press that button? Not a man, I can tell you that much.
I think I'm gonna be sick.
I really liked Janine. She had her own stories, saved the day once or twice, and was a late-night talk show hostess, apparently. Besides, girls in glasses are hot. And when both the nerd and the nostalgia critic failed to mention anything about her when they did their own Ghostbusters spiels, I thought this was the perfect time to give Janine her own retrospective.
At least someone appreciates me around here.
But I can't really blame them. It's not like we got the best introduction to Janine.
Ghostbusters, what do you want?
Janine was played by Annie Potts, one of the girls from Designing Women. What do you mean, which one? I don't know. I never watched it. Through most of the movie, she appears to be just an incidental character with the easiest temp job in the world.
Any calls?
No.
Any messages?
No.
Any customers?
No, Dr. Venkman.
But even with limited screen time, she made an impression with her distinctive voice and interesting dialogue.
Do you believe in UFOs, astral projections, mental telepathy, ESP, clairvoyance, spirit photography, telekinetic movement, full trance mediums, the Loch Ness Monster, and the theory of Atlantis?
And it was also implied that there might have been something between her and Egon.
I read a lot myself. Some people think I'm too intellectual, but I think it's a fabulous way to spend your spare time. I also play racquetball. Do you have any hobbies?
I collect spores, molds, and fungus. Pretty nasty, if you ask me.
Okay, so it wasn't like that, but there was a touching exchange between the two before the showdown with Gozer. However, it ended up on the cutting room floor. But they sure milked the possibilities when it came time to make the animated series. But like most movies that became animated shows, the transition was not pure. Like the Ghostbusters' change of hair color, for example. It was an aesthetic choice so that each Ghostbuster could look more distinctive. But come on, in the movie Hudson's hair is charcoal, while in the cartoon they obviously changed it to Mars Black. Things get dropped and things get picked up, and what Janine dropped was the librarian look, and what she picked up was a short skirt, fitting top, and high heels, taking corporate casual to the ultimate level. Aside from the oddly pointed glasses and a hair flip that would make the dude in suede look twice, she was pretty damn hot. Or maybe that was just because she was the only regular female on the show, since Dana Barrett never appeared in the cartoon series. Sorry, Peter.
Hey, what did I do? Wait!
In the cartoon, Janine was depicted as less of an apathetic outsider and more of an enthusiastic member of the team, going so far as to give her the occasional desire to be a Ghostbuster herself.
I'm sorry.
And as the series progressed, it was also implied that she gained a working knowledge of all the Ghostbusters' equipment, so you can say she really knew her way around the firehouse.
Okay, I'll show you where the bathroom is.
And remember to jiggle the handle. And if you're going to put anything in the fridge, write your name on it first, or some asshole named Zool will take it.
And if you look close enough, you just may see that attraction to Egon that I was talking about earlier.
Egon! Oh, Egon! Good night, Egon. Oh, Egon! Egon! Oh, Egon. Isn't this romantic? Egon, I love you most of all.
Do you think Janine might actually have a crush on me?
Oh, for crying out loud!
She was feisty, she was flirty, and at times she was very sweet. But I think it was her voice that really turned people off. So come season 3, they decided to give Janine a whole new look.
I'll show you where they figure out new ways to do stupid things.
So long, Laura Summer, and hello, Kath Sose. And why not? After all, she's been the voice of some of the most opinionated, cynical, irritating, distinctive, and sexy characters in animation. Plus, she's fantastic at accents. So, how bad can she be?
Try to imagine all life as you know it stopping instantaneously and every molecule in your body exploding at the speed of light.
Don't believe Egon? Well, just take a listen.
It flew in through the front door. Weirdest thing I ever saw. Thanks for the use of your wagon, Ray. Heads up, guys. We're out of here.
There's been hundreds of ghosts near it.
1,612 to be exact.
That's bad.
Oh, men.
Now, Sose is one of my favorite voice actresses, but that sounds nothing like Janine. But it's not her fault, because that was the point. It was rumored that an executive said they wanted to change her appearance because her glasses and voice might scare children. Okay, when you have this, and whatever in God's blind spot happened to this guy's head, no, he's not a ghost. A screechy woman with pointy glasses is the last thing to show up on the lawsuits. Changing a character in mid-production is not as uncommon as it should be, and the producers thought the change would blow right past our tiny little kid brains. But of course we all noticed that Janine now sounded like a 15-year-old girl.
Trick or treat.
It wasn't until the 5th season that writer J. Michael Straczynski decided to address the changes in the episode Janine, You've Changed. I hope you didn't miss much sleep thinking of that, Jim Hemingway. Actually, it's a decent episode and considered a landmark among the fans, even though it plays out like an after-school special.
They think you're not good enough, not pretty enough.
I guess you never know how much someone means to you until you might lose them.
I wanted to be prettier so you'd notice me. And you never know you're a little girl. They made fun of me. You said I was pretty.
There's one thing left to do. Destroy him!
You see, Slimer gets a hold of a photo album and sees the differences between the two Janines. He shows this to the Ghostbusters and they come up with the only logical conclusion. A ghost did it. So they decide to find out what caused these changes. And hilarity ensues. Did I say hilarity? I meant to say unlawful violation of personal space. Well, oddly enough, it turns out that Janine has a fairy godmother who can use her magic to make her look any way she wants.
I want to be, half an inch taller.
And bigger breasts.
And a few pounds thinner.
And bigger breasts.
And how about
Bigger
green
breasts.
eyes instead of blue?
They never wish for bigger breasts. By the way, if you have a fairy godmother and instead of a magic wand she uses fire, I would be a little suspicious. Oh my god, she looks so exactly the same. Now here's the twist. You know that fairy that apparently uses her limitless powers to grant you your heart's desire and asks for nothing in return? Well, it turns out she's evil. I said it turns out she's evil. Aw, come on, Raul. Be a good sport.
Of course!
It all leads up to Egon confronting Janine, who is now being manipulated by the spirit.
Just like all the rest. How much more do you want? Is this good enough for you?
Janine!
How about no?
Then Egon, in a roundabout way, confesses his affections for her. Janine then comes to her senses and uses the power she's absorbed to vanquish the fairy. And what exactly was it you were so close to? Oh, and you're gone like 5-second movies. And a lesson is learned by all.
I decided that I don't have to be perfect. I don't have to be something that I'm not. It's okay to like myself just as I am.
The way you are now, not the way you were then. Then in 1989, Ghostbusters 2 hit the screens, with our heroes facing off against the evil spirit Vigo, and slime that was vile, putrid, and disgusting. I mean, innocent, misguided slime. Slime that was left on the streets to fend for itself. Slime that did the right thing when the chips were down. Slime that likes to hang out and play video games. And with the return of the Ghostbusters came the return of Janine, which meant that good God. What the hell happened? You changed again? Oh well, I'm sure nothing else has changed. Oh, that's right. In this movie, Janine has apparently forgotten all about Egon and now has the hots for Rick Moranis' character, Louis Tully. You all remember Louis, right? this. Pass this part. In fact, never play this again. After being the Ghostbusters' inept attorney, Lewis then became their accountant and certified spazlet. But apparently he's still part-time keymaster.
Needle.
I guess Janine just couldn't resist the raw sexuality that is Moranis.
I used to have a roommate, but my mom moved to Florida.
Okay, now I've learned my lesson. The movies can be totally different from the cartoons. That doesn't mean... Again? Okay, so now Lewis is in the cartoon, and look, cartoon Janine has got the same haircut as live-action Janine. What, does she like Tully now? This confused the crap out of me when I first saw it. Oh, whatever. The series was coming to a close, and we wouldn't see Janine or the Ghostbusters ever again. What's this? No, it can't be. That's right, bitches, it's the Extreme Ghostbusters. A new set of diverse, multicultural, youth-appealing, handy-capable, ectoplasmic ass-kickers. You know they're extreme because they grab handles, turn knobs, go to the max, and twist nuts. They're in my pants! Okay, it wasn't as bad as you think. Yeah, that's Maurice LaMarche, veteran voice actor, reprising his role as Egon. And Janine, who is now played by Pat Music, is back as well.
Glad to be back.
The ghost designs for this series were pretty cool, taking the classic feel and adding a crisp, updated style. And we get to see some old favorites. That Samhain, the spirit of Halloween, tripping acid in the opening, although I never seen him in the actual show. And holy shit, the Grundle. That's one creepy bastard. Of course he'd be scary about the Toon Disney logo. Looks like an executive took a dump in the corner. And look here, Fox Kids, Fox Family, Jetix, Sci-Fi. And here I thought the live-action Janine was the whore.
That's hardly a fair label.
Even the new Ghostbusters weren't so bad. That's Jason Marsden as Garrett, and a goth girl in football pads and bike shorts is just the funniest damn thing I've ever seen. And here's a little tidbit. Did you know that Garrett is the only Ghostbuster to never receive an action figure? Weird, huh? Did they not want to splurge on the plastic for his wheelchair? Janine wasn't an official Ghostbuster and she had 4 action figures, including one with a removable skirt that showed off her plastic panties.
I'm warning you guys, I'm getting mad.
Speaking of which, Janine is looking pretty hot considering she's 10 years older.
I've looked worse.
Somebody called the zoo. I think a cougar's on the loose. But one of the 2 middle fingers to the fans is the fact that the equipment looks nothing like the original proton packs. I can see the pressure to update with this series, but what could be more extreme than an unlicensed nuclear accelerator on your back? But the worst violation by far is the new ghost trap, which I have labeled the Bland Mine. Looks like something out of the crappy NES game. Where are the loose wires? Where are the protruding components? The things that say, yeah, I made this shit in my garage, but I'll still fuck you up the ass. The other problem is the relationship between Janine and Egon, which is to say that there is none. They ignored all the events before this, and they basically started over again with Janine chasing Egon, who now seems senile. If you wanted to do the dance again, why didn't you just relaunch the series like everyone else had the good mind to do? What, were you afraid to become addicted like Transformers? Forgive me, oh Lord, it was but a joke. There's even an episode that mimics Janine You've Changed, except with Janine turning into a bug girl. Egon confesses his love again, and Janine turns on the offending ghost again. Women, you gotta tell them you love them every 10 years or they start to get insecure. Overall, the whole thing was incredibly stupid. Except the bug girl thing, that was kinda hot.
Oh, you. It's always the quiet ones. You hound.
In the end, the show only lasted 2 seasons, and at the rate it was going, I bet Janine was glad to be out of there.
See ya.
The next time we see Janine, it was in the Ghostbusters comic book printed by 88 Miles Per Hour Publishing. The story arc was called Legion, and in it we see... What the... They're glorious! Oh, thank you, Demon Fairy. Thank you ever so. Ah, they're just water balloons. You see, this comic takes place right after they save New York from Gozer. And that's right, Janine is chasing Egon yet again, using all sorts of wacky, hyper-feminine methods. Oh, look at that, pigtails. Oh yeah, and there's something about there being a 5th Ghostbuster and an army of ghosts. I don't know, it's all very minor. I think they used it to fill space. And hey look, they included Dana Barrett in this.
My Dana Barrett?
The artwork is good, nice use of shadows and perspectives, interesting designs with the ghosts, and the lighting effects are superb. Plus Slimer is actually scary in this. The story is okay, but there are some lines of dialogues that are just begging for the Linkara treatment. Legion apparently launched a regular series with 88, but I'm afraid I haven't followed it too much. There's also a new Ghostbusters manga called Ghostbusted. It's a one-shot by Tokyo Pop and composed of short stories by different artists. The art ranges from interestingly crafted to humorous chicken scratch, but overall it's pretty good if you're into that sort of thing. It has 5 stories, each tied together by a subplot that becomes the main conflict of the book. And remember how Winston was never in most of the video games? Well, they make it up to him by giving him a fucking machine gun. Yeah! The only complaint is that most of the ghosts look human. I don't mind that, but there should be some monsters in there too. Now that I think about it, all the ghosts in the 88 series were all worms and blobs and stuff. That's what I think I like about the movies. They seem to be the only incarnation of Ghostbusters with equal parts creatures and just plain dead people. You know what I mean? Anyway, back to Janine. She doesn't really do anything memorable. She just provides exposition for the Ghostbusters. But she's still super kawaii. Dude and Suede, am I saying that right?
No!
Yeah, that's what I thought. The only other thing I can think about is the new Ghostbusters game. Aside from the Genesis version, the franchise has been synonymous with horrible games. And when the latest Ghostbusters game was said to be in development, I really didn't care either way. Then when I saw this image floating around on the internet, it shattered what little enthusiasm I had. It was okay, but it wasn't what the fans had been waiting for. And I fear that we will never get it.
That's your cue.
Good Gozer, now that's what I'm talking about. It turns out that this version will be coming out on the Wii and PlayStation 2. So why is the Wii so great again? Anyway, this is what the PS3 and 360s get. It may still suck, but at least it looks like they're trying. You get to use all the equipment, and it's run off a brand new program called Inferno. Inferno, like Ghostbusters in Hell. Ah, I love that new physics engine smell. Aside from being written by Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis, the game also features most of the voices from the original cast, including Ann Potts, which means that this will be the first video game to feature Janine since... well, never. Well, the Extreme Ghostbusters for the Game Boy Color had Janine in it, but I don't really count that game because it was only released in Europe. The only person they couldn't get for the new game was Rick Moranis, which is weird behavior from a guy who once said,
I'm walking around here saying, let's do a series. You know, Thursday nights at 9:30, Ghostbusters.
From the movies to the TV to years later, the Ghostbusters have had their rough patches, but have always been awesome. And Janine has been there right with them. She was hardworking, quirky, and surprisingly sexy. And at a time when only the absurdly rich and beautiful could fall in love on Saturday morning, the Ghostbusters gave us this little story between two social misfits. Currently, I think Janine is popular among fans in the original cartoon series. Not that there are any pictures of Nostalgia Chick just as Janine that one year in college for Halloween floating around on the internet or anything.